Hey guys, it's LightKerosene. I am starting a new video called TFT Basics with LightKerosene. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be teaching new players how to not only play League of Legends, but we're also teaching them more advanced strategies later in the series. But this video is literally just the basics, how to play, what a champion is, etc. So first, when you start a game, you're going to enter a carousel. This is where you get to pick your first champion or item that is going to help you make your team more powerful. So what you do is you run your little legend into one of these units that you would like, and if you run through it before the next person, then you get that unit to start the game. Typically on these carousels, you're looking for an item component to help you win the game, but sometimes you might have a juicy unit that can help you spark an origin, which we'll go over a little bit later in the tutorial. So yeah, when you start the game, you're going to go into a carousel. The first carousel is a free-for-all. Every carousel after that, the lowest two people that are alive are going to get to pick their units first. So that brings us to what is a champion? A champion is a unit that you put on the board that's going to help protect your life from getting you knocked out first. In team fight tactics, you're playing against 8 other players. If you typically start with 100 health, there's an exception now. There's 125 health on one of the galaxies. So you start with 100 health, and every time you lose a fight, your health is going to go down. Every time you win a fight, you preserve your health. So how you make your champion stronger is you get 3 of the same champion. So in this case, we have Ari. We have 1. We get 3 Aris. She becomes 1 2-star champion. And then in order to get a 3-star Ari, we need 3 2-star versions of Ari. So in total, to recap, we need 9 units of the same exact unit to make a tier 3. There are some items like Nico's Help, which can be used on a unit to create a copy of that unit. So let's say you have 2 Nicos in the Nicoverse galaxy. You can have a tier 1 Ari, throw the 2 Nicos on her, and then she becomes a tier 2. It's not necessarily the best way to use a Nicos, but that's more for advanced. Just wanted to let you know that that feature does exist. So now we're going to go into economy. So gold is the currency in TFT. You gain passive gold per round, starting with 2 gold at level 1 and 2, 2 gold at 1 and 1, 3, 3 gold at 2, 1, 4 gold at 2, 2, and 5 gold each turn after. So you also gain 1 gold plus 1 gold for winning a round. So let's say you are on a win streak, you will actually get an extra gold per round for being on a 2-game win streak, 2 gold for being on a 3-game win streak, and 3 gold for being on a 4-game win streak. This also counts for losing streaks. So let's say you lost 2 fights in a row, you're actually going to get an extra gold per round. If you lost 3 in a row, you're going to gain 2 extra gold, so on and so forth, up to 4 extra gold. Interest is where every 10 gold you get an extra 1 gold per round, up to 50 gold. So in an ideal world, you're on a 3-game win streak, so you're going to get 4 gold per round from that. You're going to have your 50 econ, or econing is what we call it. You're going to have your 50 gold, so you're going to get an extra 5 gold for that. So you're looking at an extra 9 gold per round that you're going to get to use to spend on units or leveling, right? So let's go kind of more into the interface here. So you place your units on the board, they fight for you. If you win, you preserve health, and positioning does matter, right? You don't want your DPS attacking tanks, and you don't want your mages getting beaten up by assassins. So positioning is going to matter. Your origins will matter. So what origins and classes are is when units combine, so let's say we have a sorcerer and we buy a second sorcerer. If we put them on the board together, you will get the sorcerer buff, and that will give you uh, a boost to your team. So you're looking for not only classes but origin combos to try to make your synergies work across the board. You buy units or chess pieces from the shop. They range from 1 to 5 gold, and they fight for you and you make builds out of the origins or classes, right? So levels range from 1 to 9, each level a unit slot. So you can have one unit for every level that you have. So if you're level 9, you can have 9 units on the board. If you're level 1, you can have 1 unit. It costs 4 gold for 4 experience. So let's say, hypothetically, it was 20 experience for you to level. Well, you get 2 gold, or you get 2 experience naturally every round, which means that on the first round in this hypothetical scenario, so you start out at 2 of 20 experience. Then you can choose to use 4 gold to buy experience. So the next round you would get your 2 free experience on the next round, so you'd be at 8 of 20. If you choose to buy experience again, you'd be at 12 of 20, so that when it goes through, you're at 16 of 20. If you choose to spend the experience again, now you're at 20 of 20. Now you can put another unit on the board. That's all that's saying. So long story short, you have 100 health. If you lose HP, you lose HP if you lose a round. If you lose all your HP, you lose the game. Now, since there's 8 players, the bottom 4 players, so 8, 7, 6, 5, those are the losers. Those are the people that lost the game. If you come in at least 4th, it is considered a win. So don't stress so much about coming in first place, but focus more on getting a little bit better at hitting top 4 consistently, and you will climb in Teamfight Tactics rankings. So, as you see on the left side here, we have our champion tiers. So at level 1, we have a 100% chance to gain a level 1 unit. Then at level 2, same concept. So you're always going to get a tier 1 unit. Level 3, you have a chance at getting a level 2 unit. So when the shop offers you random champions at the end of every round, you can either refresh for 2 gold, or you can buy experience, or you can buy the champion itself that you need. So in this case, we have Caitlyn, who is a Chronos Sniper. We have Rakan, who's a Celestial Protector. We have Master Yi, who's a Rebel Blade Master. We have Mordekaiser, who's a Darkstar Vanguard. And we have a Darkstar Protector, Jarvan. So we have 11 gold here. So what we see here is that we get an extra 1 gold per round because we are at 10 gold. So we have to make the decision, do we want to spend 2 gold on Mordekaiser and 1 gold on Jarvan to have 2 Dark Stars? Or do we want to econ and try to get that extra 1 gold per round? This is where that decision making comes in handy, because as you see, the higher level you are, the higher chance at getting better units. Now, your champion tier, you are sharing a pool of units. So there's 29 of the same tier 1 units in a pool. There's 22 tier 2s, there's 16 tier 3s, 12 tier 4s, and only 10 tier 5s. So let's say your build needs a tier 2 5-star unit. Well, the 5-star units, there's only 10 of them total. So let's say you and one other player are fighting for those units. Each of you need 3 of those 5-star units. So you want to increase your chances and hit level 7, 8, and 9 faster than everybody else. That's why I said you can use your health as a resource in the early game and kind of use your economy to go for a late game build. It really depends on how you want to play, but that's just a basic overview of how it works. champions are separated by cost and rarity, and the bigger units do typically have a bigger impact on the game. However, sometimes you do need those, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 units in order to complete your origins. So don't disregard an early game to only econ, because otherwise you're going to be in this late game with a 10% chance to hit your 1 cost unit. Damage types. So you have physical damage, which is mitigated by armor. Basic attacks deal physical damage. Everybody's got a basic attack. Everybody has a 25% chance to crit for 150 damage. So that means that you have a chance to, once every 4 attacks, hit for 50% more damage. Magic damage is mitigated by magic resist, and ability power increases the ability damage. So you have attack speed, which obviously increases the speed in which you can attack, which would be physical damage. AD, which will give you more physical damage, and armor to mitigate physical damage. Health obviously gives you more health, which can soak up both. So when you're thinking about what your team comp needs, you want a little bit of both. You want physical damage, you want magic damage, and you want ideally true damage, which can't be reduced by any armor or magic resist. Mana is a resource that champions use to cast abilities. So let's say a champion needs 60 mana to cast their ability. They get 10 mana on every attack, and they also get 10 mana when they're attacked. So you need 60 to cast your spell. Once your character hits that 60 mana, they will cast whatever their ultimate is. And we'll go into what ultimates are in another video. So basically at the start of the round, or at the start of the game, you're going to enter a carousel. You're going to pick a unit to start your team. All the units are going to clear the minions, or the first minions, so don't worry about getting a quote-unquote bad minion. Look for an item, right? Typically you're going to sell that first minion anyways to get the item off of them. Then you go through 3 minion rounds. Then you go through 3 fights where they're going to take one of the random unit or one of the random players from the player pool, and they're going to fight you against 3 of them, and then you go back into the carousel. Again, the people in the last place get to pick first on the carousel. So don't get too discouraged if you're losing early fights, because that just means you get a better item pick in the early game. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. You'd rather be on a losing spree than be on a win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1. So until you've stabilized your comp, you want to be losing fights. So then you have your carousel, which is, again, where you're going to pick a unit with an item, go for an item over the unit. If 2 units have the same item, go for the unit that has the highest gold value. And the gold value is going to be indicated by the little circle under them. So gray circle is a 1 cost, blue circle is a 2 cost. Wait, green circle is a 2 cost, blue circle is a 3 cost, purple circle is a 4 cost, and a yellow circle or an orange circle is the legendary unit. So it's going to cost 5 essentially when you sell it. So that's why if there's 2 with the same item, you're going to take the higher cost unit because you're selling that unit to get the item you want, unless of course you're like 1 champion off of a tier 3 and you want to take that champion to complete your build. So then you go into 2 more random user fights, then you go into Krugs. My tip for Krugs is you either need 4 tier 2 champions with pretty good synergies, or you should spend 4 experience and just hit level 5 and try to get the best possible board you can. also arrange your units so that all of them are attacking the one Krug rather than trying to fight the two Krugs. Because there's 3 total Krugs, there's 1 on the right side, 2 on the left side. Hit the one on the right side, focus fire that down, and then you're fighting 2 Krugs instead of fighting 3. Alright, so, and that's a common place where I see people lose is the Krugs fight, and that's how you should handle that fight. Basically, if you have strong units, just let them play. If you don't have strong units, go by the tips that I gave you, and you'll clear those. But losing a minion round is the worst thing you can do because that's where you get your items. Minions have a random drop percentage to drop item components, and items are ultimately what are going to win you the game. So here we have kind of a layout, right? On the right side, we have everybody's health. As you see, this player has 78 health. This person has 100. Now, these 2 players will get to pick first on carousel, second, third, and last on carousel. So being at this Mr. 100 isn't necessarily a good thing. You're sitting pretty, but you're also getting the worst item picks from the carousels, right? So on the left side, these are our origins. As you see, we need, in this scenario, we have 2 Dark Star, which means we need 1 more Dark Star. We need 1 more Protector, 1 more Infiltrator, 1 more Demolitionist, 1 more Chrono, 2 more Rebels, and 3 more Blade Masters, and we have 4 total units. So this player decided to put 2 Dark Stars. It looks like he has the Ziggs. So he's hovering over this Shen, which will give him 1 Blade Master and 1 Chrono. Right here, we have our Chrono boost. So when we throw this Shen on the board, our units are going to get they're going to get 15% attack speed every 4 seconds because that's what the Chrono buff gives, right? So we're looking to get as many of these origins into our build as possible. Origins/classes, right? Because as you see right here, we could have just as easily taken Caitlyn to get that Chrono buff, and that would give us Sniper. So depending on kind of what you're trying to do, typically the 2-star version of an origin is better than the 3, just because you can fit more in. But there are exceptions to that, like 3 Dark Star is much worse than 6 Dark Star. 3 Chrono or 2 Chrono is much worse than 4. 4 is about as good as 6, and a lot easier to fit into your build. And but things like 6 Cybernetic, for instance, is a major power spike over the 3. So understanding, kind of reading up on your origins, we'll discuss those a little bit later in another video. But this is kind of the layout. So we can buy units. We have 5 gold. We can buy a 2, a 2, and a 1. We could level and be 6 of 10, knowing we're going to get 2 more basically on the next 2 rounds. We know that in 2 rounds we're going into a neutral fight, so this might be a good time to econ. So we know we get 5 gold at the end of the round, which will put us at 10. So at 10 gold, we're going to get an extra round. Then we go into the neutral round. We win the neutral round, ideally. Then now we're at 20 gold. Now we're getting 2 gold per fight. So basically, you just want to kind of manage your economy and try to get the best units on the board to try to help you maintain your life. So here's just standard kind of like positioning. You want your tanks in the front line. These are your flexible areas, so places where you could put, say, a unit that you don't want to take aggro. This is considered the safe area, and these are where your ranged assassins typically go. So when they call this a safe area, you could put a ranged assassin in this safe area, and they still aren't safe because, let's say I put an assassin in this safe area, and you put a ranger, my assassin's going to jump into this safe area and kill your ranger, right? So basically, the idea is that you want to put your tanks in the front line, you want to put your rangers in the back line, and you're good to go. So in terms of items, this is my particular tier list. I would say that the Seraphs and the Sojin are kind of what you want to build just in general. Morello's and an Ionic Spark are your other offensive items, and these are the two best tank items. We'll go into item optimization again a little bit later, but I just wanted to kind of show you that, hey, here's a tier list for you to follow, and here's a tier list of champions to kind of go for as well. So as you see, some of these champions like Kha'Zix are needed for 4 infiltrators. So even though he's a weak unit overall, he has strong origins. So you would still play it. It's not like the items where we have don't plays. These are the champions that are typically not going to get items, whereas the S tier champions are the champions that you typically want to play around or give items to. So this is, again, open to interpretation. Personally, my favorite characters to put items are Kai'Sa and Aurelia. And Aurelia is in the tier... she should be in the tier 1. But I don't see her. There's fine. She's not a legendary. Aurelia should be in tier 1. So I like Kai'Sa and Aurelia. So just because your champion might be in, a B or a C tier, doesn't mean you shouldn't put items on it. It just means they typically underperform compared to S and A tier if you have perfect items on them. So that concludes video 1. Sorry it was a bit longer. Most of the videos I'm going to try to keep to about 5 to 10 minutes. We just wanted to make sure to get you all of the concepts of how to play here. And yeah, I hope this helped clear up some of the gameplay in TFT. Again, this video is supposed to be extremely basic, just kind of teaching you how to play the game. I'm going to be starting the next video here shortly, and hopefully we can get that out relatively quickly. Again, I'm LightKerosene. We're going to have lots of tutorials here, and hopefully we can get you some wins in teamfight tactics. All right, well, thank you, and have a good day. Bye.